Many old video games tend to hide strange, cryptic mysteries within them. Not too long ago, we took a look at the mystery of Panjyamon in Digimon World 2, which was a very intriguing rabbit hole in itself. We chased shadows for hundreds of hours, following strange rumors and weird theories, which mainly led to nothing but dead ends. But beyond that, Digimon World 2 was a pretty straightforward game. The same, however, cannot be said for Digimon World 1. In this game, the gameplay itself can be a mystery. Whether you're trying to figure out how Digivolutions work, or why trying to play some music crashes the game, Digimon World 1 doesn't care much about explaining itself. But that is the part of the charm of old games like this. They often didn't hold your hand or give extensive tutorials to help you get acquainted with the different systems in place. And the mysteries within their worlds kept many gamers busy as they tried to untangle and unravel them. And considering how mysterious a game Digimon World 1 naturally appeared to be, it was no surprise that many myths and rumors regarding it began to appear on early internet message boards. From secret methods that could lead to Digimon that were considered unobtainable, to getting into locations which were thought to be inaccessible. Was there any truth to any of it? Or were they all hoaxes created by would-be trolls? Today, we are going to take a deeper look into a few of the myths and rumors which surrounded Digimon World 1 long ago, and try to uncover the truth. We'll start by talking about the three secret Digimon of this game, namely Panjyamon, Gegadramon, and Metal Etemon. Two of these Digimon were the subject of a lot of rumors back when Digimon World 1 first came out, and for many years after as well. Nobody really cared about Gegadramon back then, I guess, so neither will we. Let's talk about Panjyamon first. Outside of Digimon World 1, we know that Panjyamon is supposed to digivolve from Leomon, who does exist in this game. I mean, Panjyamon is pretty much a palette swap of Leomon to begin with. So many people obviously jumped to the conclusion that there must be a way for Leomon to digivolve into Panjyamon in this game as well. And there were, of course, the obvious special methods, which involved getting a Leomon to maximum stats. This can be done relatively easily actually, so let's test it out. What I'm going to do is farm stat chips through the Shogun Gekomon card trading method. With enough bits, it's possible to stockpile a ludicrous number of cards, which can be traded to Shogun Gekomon for points, which are then used to acquire stat chips. With enough of them, it is possible to get a very young Leomon, one that isn't capable of evolving to other ultimate level Digimon yet, to max stats. And after doing this, nothing happened. Okay, let's try to take a deeper look into this. In this game, Digivolution criteria is based on your Digimon fulfilling at least 3 requirements for a Digivolution. The requirements can be based on a number of factors, such as care mistakes or weight or the happiness level of your Digimon, and so on. Having proper stats is only one of the possible requirements that a Digimon needs to meet. One could then consider the possibility that there might be 2 other requirements that we need to meet. But really, considering the number of factors that we can tweak in regards to this, it can be nearly impossible to tell what exactly the other requirements could be. If I had to wager a guess, considering we are dealing with a noble Digimon here, it might be safe to assume that 0 care mistakes might be a requirement. Pretty much every champion or ultimate level Digivolution, besides the Poop Trio, have some form of care mistakes criteria. But that still leaves one last requirement that would need to be met. Again, if I had to make an educated guess, I'd say that maximum discipline might be it. Well, no Digivolutions immediately happen after meeting these requirements, so I decided to wait. Generally, champion level Digimon need to spend a certain amount of time in their current form before they can digivolve to the ultimate level. And after enough time had passed, it appeared that Leomon was ready to digivolve. Well, that is certainly an odd-looking Panjyamon, isn't it? Shockingly, it isn't Panjyamon at all, but an Andromon. So what happened here, you might be wondering. Well, in this game, Leomon has 2 usual potential Digivolutions, Andromon and, weirdly enough, Mamemon. While trying to figure out the hidden requirements to find Panjyamon, we accidentally met the Digivolution criteria for Andromon by meeting at least 3 of the requirements. The required stats show the minimum amount needed, so going over that doesn't do any harm. So we kinda met 4 requirements for Andromon. The other possible non-secret Mamemon Digivolution has criteria that we weren't going to meet, meaning Andromon is the only ultimate we could have digivolved into in this case. But let's change that up a little bit, shall we? Instead of maximum discipline, let's see what would happen with a lot less discipline. In addition, we'll keep the weight too low for Andromon, but too high for Mamemon. This way, we won't meet at least 3 requirements for either of those 2 digivolutions. Well, Leomon is old enough to digivolve now, but it ain't happening just yet. Maybe age has something to do with it. Perhaps Leomon needs to become a wise old man, or Mon, before he can unlock his secret digivolution. Oh, what is this? Were we right? Were the rumors actually true? Are we about to witness the birth of a legitimate Panjyamon? The only thing I know is this ain't Panjyamon either. It appears that the weight of our expectations were too much for Leomon, who chose to pass away instead of meeting them. Perhaps we are missing something big, something very obvious which any huge Panjyamon fan would know. I decided to go back to those old message boards and see if I could find a clue. Well, in 2013, 8lakhZ made a post on the GameFAQs forum, which might be able to help. Essentially, he mentions that the wiki entries for Panjyamon mention that Leomon was able to achieve this form through rigorous training in the freezing lands of the digital world. And in case you don't know, Panjyamon's Japanese name is Ice Leomon. In Digimon World 1, there is a place known as the Freeze Land. Could it be possible that this secret digivolution for Leomon is actually tied to that in-game location? Well, that indeed is what 8lakhZ was trying to suggest here. While this whole thing might seem like a stretch for most people, this game isn't a stranger to the concept of strange digivolutions. I've made an entire video going over the many weird digivolutions that can be triggered when certain conditions are met. Maybe this is another special digivolution. It's worth a shot, I'd say. But how are we supposed to train our Leomon in Freezeland? Well, as far as I'm concerned, there are 2 options. We could train Leomon by endlessly beating the dookie out of all the wild enemies around here, as we do get stat bonuses for doing this. I'll use an earlier save file in which Leomon still has plenty of lifespan left. I wasn't sure how many fights would be necessary, but I figured that 100 fights should do the trick, if we are on the right track, that is. And so, our beefed up Leomon got to work, beating up all the resident Digimon that call this place home. Doesn't seem like the most noble thing to do, I feel, but hey, if this is what it takes, then I'm on board. The Ice Gaburimon and Agumon made easy prey for our ravenous Lion Man. Leomon was hungry, and all the cool Digimon here were prey. The Ice Devimon only show up at night, so I had Leomon lie in wait to beat the snot out of them too. But this is a pretty tedious task, as all the Digimon here have plenty of HP. But oh well, I kept going. I wonder how all these Digimon around here feel about this. Some random insane Leomon shows up out of nowhere and starts to go on a rampage for no apparent reason. Not for the stats, not for the dropped items or anything like that. Just to cause pain. Dang, maybe that is what would happen if Leomon lived too long, and that's why they always put him down in the anime. Anyway, finally, after a long while, this is it. This is the 100th battle. Has all this madness led us to something meaningful, or was it all for naught? Is this the moment when we discover a new Digivolution? Doesn't seem like anything's happening. I had Leomon do a few more fights in case I miscounted or something. But no, even after an extra dozen battles, nothing happened. Dang, We really handed out all those beatings for nothing. But we aren't giving up just yet. Within the Freeze Land, there is a place called Ice Sanctuary. Only a vaccine-type Digimon may enter here. As luck would have it, Leomon happens to be a vaccine type. What a coincidence. Once we get inside, we can find a room here which has training equipment. That may seem odd, but this happens to be the case in a number of locations in-game. So the question is simple. Would training here allow Leomon to become Panjyamon? Only one way to find out. I spent a while training here, on each of the different stations. Our old friend 8,00,000Z wondered if training 100 times would do the trick. So I put Leomon on that grind. I am aware that the sweat bubbles that can show up over your Digimon if you push them too hard don't result in a care mistake. Still, I prefer avoiding that if I can. Who knows, maybe that's the hidden trick to get the cooler Leomon. To achieve this, I decided to use all the saved up viable items I had on this save file, like the chain melons and a few other tiredness reducing items, just to keep training as long as possible. The chain melons will help to prolong Leomon's lifespan. Remember, champions usually pass away around 13 to 14 days, unless they digivolve. This does feel a little weird to me, considering this buff Leomon has maxed out stats. So we are not actually gaining anything from all this training, besides tiring out this Leomon, that is. But we moved forward nonetheless, in search for something that hasn't been found before, something which may not even exist. Still, we moved forward. Eventually, I ran out of tiredness reducing items, so I went back to the clinic to recover and then come back here to train some more. And after a very long while, considering each training session takes about 1 hour or so of in-game time, this is it. This is the final training session. Will we finally get to see a legitimate Panjyamon? Are we about to make history? Oh, what's happening here? Have we found it? The elusive Panjyamon? What the? Andromon, how did you get in here again? I was paying attention to the weight, but I lost track of the discipline. Dang it. Let's give this another go after getting that in order. In case I messed up the training count, I trained Leomon a bunch of more times. Andromon did not show up, now that the discipline was under control. And just a little while later... Oh, for a second, I thought I had something there. But no, it looks like all that endless training was too much, and Leomon is ready to move on from this life once and for all. But we are not gonna let him rest that easily, are we? No, we'll force him to stay alive for more experimentation.
No, God, please.
There are a whole bunch of Digivolutions in this game that can happen once the Digimon loses one of its 3 lives. What if we can get Panjyamon by having Leomon lose one of its lives in Freeze Land or the Ice Sanctuary? I know, it's a long shot, but we've come this far. Maybe what we need to do to unlock this secret Digivolution is to punish this Leomon for existing. And just so you know, the other Digivolutions that happen this way are dependent on RNG. There tends to be a 10% to 50% chance of such an evolution to trigger. Assuming that's the case here as well, I figured I'll have Leomon get the life beaten out of him a reasonable number of times at least. This might not be the beating that Leomon deserves, but perhaps it'll be the one he needed. I'll be real, this was definitely not a fun time for Leomon or for me. His stats are far too high for the Digimon here to do any real damage to him. To get around that somewhat, I took him to Mount Infinity and had the Digimon here chip away at his HP first. Even this took a while, to be honest, as the Digimon would run out of MP and just wander around aimlessly, waiting for their finisher to charge up. Not to mention that Leomon is actually quite competent at evading and blocking attacks. It is genuinely kinda impressive. But when I finally had Leomon's HP low enough, I took him back to Friesland and let the enemies take turns beating him senseless. I am pretty sure the wild Digimon around Friesland enjoyed getting a bit of revenge on Leomon for all the carnage he caused not too long ago. But strangely, the Digimon around here tend to hurt each other far more than they hurt Leomon. Maybe they all have beef with each other or something. To be fair, this was kinda funny for me to watch. Look at these rookie Digimon, treating the mighty Leomon like a punching bag. I don't know if that's morbid for me to say, but hey, this is all for the sake of science, or something. Now we are seeing the real Leomon, the one from the anime. But even after all of that, after having Leomon get his backside whooped all over this frozen wasteland, Panjyamon did not show up. Honestly, if this ain't it, then I suppose there really is no way for Leomon to digivolve into Panjyamon. I suppose it's time to let this Leomon finally rest. Sleep well, Lion Man. You didn't accomplish anything, but sleep well. In any case, here's the thing. Like I'm sure you already know, we can always just use a Game Shark to get the Noble Mane, which is the Digivolution item for Panjyamon. But that item will not work on Leomon, as the game treats Panjyamon as a champion level Digimon in this game. So the item needs to be given to a rookie level Digimon. You might think, well hey, if he's not an ultimate level Digimon to begin with, then all of these rumors were bogus all along. How is a champion level Digimon supposed to digivolve into another champion? But you see, there are instances where that can happen in Digimon World 1. For example, Panjyamon can digivolve into Devimon if the requirements are met. In fact, I believe that's the only way to even get Devimon in this game. I'm just saying, it wasn't completely out of the question entirely. But at the end of the day, it seems Panjyamon was not meant to be accessible through normal gameplay. It even seems like the programming behind it is unfinished or something. I did show this in one of my previous videos, but it's still one of my favorite things about this game. Let me show you a prime example of some Panjyamon weirdness. Let's say you do acquire Panjyamon by using the Noble Mane. Did you know that your fancy new Digimon actually has access to a couple of secret Digivolutions of its own? Yeah, check this out. If you train your Panjyamon just right, this happens. Well now, ain't that something? Maybe Vegemon was actually the most noble Digimon of them all. But perhaps you're not vegan or a fan of Vegemon for some reason. For you, maybe this special Digivolution is what you're looking for. Well, what happened here? I suppose Panjyamon tried to digivolve into the legendary Pepsimon, but it just wasn't strong enough to do it. Maybe one day, Panjyamon. Maybe one day. Next up, we're gonna take a look into Metal Etemon. During my Secrets and Lost Content video for Digimon World 1, we found the legitimate way to get the Metal Banana, the Digivolution item for Metal Etemon. But if people on the internet are to be believed, there are other ways to get our hands on that hard metal banana. It's worth keeping in mind that although Metal Etemon is supposed to be a mega level Digimon, that's not the case in this game. He's an ultimate level Digimon here, as the mega level does not exist in Digimon World 1. Anyway, the most commonly shared rumor when it came to getting him involved Etemon, which should come as no surprise. There is an Etemon that can be recruited to the city. After you get 50 prosperity points, you can check out the locked door at the treehouse, where you will then be jump kicked by an Etemon. Upon beating the nonsense out of him, he'll join the city, where he will be kicked out of almost immediately for unsavory shenanigans. While hanging out here, he does serve a purpose. You can purchase a very expensive golden banana from him. If you fed this golden banana to a champion level Digimon, they will digivolve into, you guessed it, Etemon. That might appear to be all that this Etemon had to offer, but here is where the wild rumors come in. Many people believed that there was a way for this Etemon to give you a metal banana instead of the golden one. There were a number of methods to do it, of course. Some believed that you needed to buy a bunch of golden bananas before you can get the metal one, while others believed that there was simply a very low chance for this to occur. Kinda like the other rare items in this game that have a 1% chance of showing up. But no matter how exactly you're supposed to get the metal banana from Etemon, many were convinced that it can definitely be done. For most people, buying 25 golden bananas allowed them to somehow get the metal one. But for Dr. Ansem, the answer was 50 for his version of the game. Although when pressed for some kind of proof, the doctor was unable to provide any. But hey, let's be real. He's a doctor. I think we can take his word for it, right? And if that's not enough for all you skeptical people, take a look at how passionate Nintendoid was about this. How can someone be willing to do such unspeakable things over a lie? Honestly, if we can't believe random weirdos from 2007 internet message boards, then who can we really trust? But perhaps it would be best to put these rumors to the test. So we are gonna buy a whole lot of golden bananas. And to make it really thematic, we're gonna use the first one to get an Etemon of our own. This is some kind of imposter McLean, but hey, it should work for our purposes. The first problem is actually a math-related one. You can't buy 25 golden bananas in one go, as that would cost more than the maximum amount of bits one can hold in this game. So we'll need to make a minimum of 2 trips. Assuming this whole thing is legit, then Etemon has to keep track of our banana purchases. This isn't entirely impossible. Digimon does keep track of prosperity points, right? So Etemon just has to do the same. Let's try to stay positive here. Now, in order to actually get the bits to fund this endeavor, we'll do the old Panjyamon trick, plus whatever I have lying around on the save file. And here we are. This will be the 25th golden banana. Are we finally going to see something special today? And no, it doesn't seem like that is the case. For scamming us out of our bits, I had Imposter McLean give this Etemon a little present. But wait, Dr. Ansem, maybe he had the right solution all along. So after a whole bunch of more bit farming, it's time to spend it all buying even more bananas, cause we're gonna get 50 of them. And here we are again. After 2.5 million bits, will we finally have something to show for making this Etemon filthy rich? Ah, I see. Everyone, I'm beginning to think that Dr. Ansem may have been lying. Heck, now I'm wondering if he was even a doctor at all. And what of Nintendoid? Was he just some kind of random psychopath? We can't be sure, but I think there's a 10 out of 10 chance of that being the case. Just to be safe, I did test out the possibility of this whole thing depending on RNG. And I think I bought about 200-ish bananas while changing the RNG each time. It's pretty easy. Even moving around with your Digimon changes the RNG. But this didn't go anywhere either. But perhaps 50 bananas weren't enough. In order to get the metal banana, maybe we need to be hardcore. Well, this was a fine way to waste a whole lot of bits. I am pretty sure we could have bought the entirety of File Island with this much. But anyway, here we are. 99 golden bananas. We literally cannot carry any more than this. Will this scammer Etemon finally give us a metal banana? And there's our answer, I suppose. This Etemon simply doesn't have the metal banana, and I think it's time for us to move on. But before we do, I felt like this Etemon deserved to go to prison for all of his scams, so Imposter McLean and I built one for him right here. Most of the other theories involved getting Etemon to very high stats, you know, the kind of theory we see all the time. We already did that though, since our imposter did indeed have max stats. But Imposter McLean couldn't handle all this disappointment and simply passed away. Yes, very sad. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, these particular myths and rumors turned out to be nothing more than a web of lies. People lying on the internet? Who could have seen that coming? Of course, Digimon World 1 still has a couple of more rabbit holes for us to fall into. Perhaps we'll go diving into them next time. Hey, they can't all be fake rumors, right? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you would like to help us directly, you can do so by subscribing to our Patreon. As for the community challenge for this week, here are the brilliant minds who were able to get it right. Considering how cryptic the images were, I'm surprised anyone got it right at all. Well done, my clever friends. And now, here's a quick shout out to the people who keep the lights on around here. Thank you Chaos Untold, Vanilla, Maxter5000 and Blake CN1 for your continued support. And here's a nice big thank you for McTivil for being a true friend of the channel. Thank you for the support, my friend. And of course, here's an ultra big thank you for Stephen Ford, the Super Sigma Man. Your support is highly appreciated, Stephen Ford. Thank you. Well then, we might not have found something awesome, but at least we had some fun today. And perhaps the real secret Digivolutions were the friends we made along the way. But I know what you wanna see, so let's revive that Leomon and throw some poop on him.
No!